All right, awesome.
Trip to Ajmer and the circle illnesses. Extracts from Doctor's Diary. Baba and party left Bombay by the Gujarati mail on the night of the 11th September for Ajmer, reaching there at 10:30 p.m. on the 12th and put up in King Edward Memorial Travelers Rest House. Baba began to have loose stools, and there were marked signs of, I need to scroll, here we go. And there were marked signs of serious ill health. The following day, we all took complete rest, while Baba's condition was the same, having passed nearly half a dozen loose stools in a day. On Thursday the 14th, under Baba's instructions, the Mandali observed the fast for 24 hours and went to Khwaja Sahib's tomb and paid our respects, while Syed Sahib and myself, Doctor, also recited a Muslim prayer. There was no change for the good in Baba's health. On the contrary, he looked more weak and pulled down. On Friday, the Mandali went for sightseeing, the Jain Golden Temple, Daulat Bagh, and the picturesque lake called Anna Sagar, while myself and Syed Sahib also went to Shahjahan Mosque, where we offered the Friday prayers. On the 16th, Kak also joined the party. Both of us went to Tara Garth, and the hut said to have been erected within 2.5 days. There was no improvement in Baba's condition. The stools are marked to be of a variety of colors, such as green, brown, black, and gray, and seems to be very weak. And he seems to be very weak. The day before leaving for Bombay on the 18th, Baba asked the Mandali on Sunday to visit Pushkal Raj, an important and historical place of pilgrimage of the Hindus, situated 10 miles to the northwest of Ajmer. Finding Baba in the condition that he was since coming to Ajmer, without any improvement up to date, the Mandali did not like to go for any more sightseeing, leaving him alone in the rest house. Reading out their thoughts, Baba said, "If I remain alone here, I will recover completely from the trouble by this evening. However, I don't like to spoil your pleasure, but mark my words that this illness will leave me after 15 days from now." And Baba too accompanied the party to Pushkal Raj in a small carriage, and in spite of his pulled-down condition, submitted himself to the rough joltings of a 10-mile drive. The temple, besides its architectural beauty and historical interest, has a charming natural scenery all around, particularly at the bathing steps along the sacred Bhima River. It is the only temple in India dedicated to Brahma of the Hindu trinitial conception of God. The whole Mandali, including the Muslims, were subjected to all the Hindu ceremonies of pilgrimage, such as taking bath in the river along the specially built steps and then having a colored spot marked on the forehead by the Brahmins after this ceremonial chanting and paying respects to the symbol itself. Thus, after a busy and interesting time, we all came back to the rest house late in the evening. At 10:30 p.m. the same night, Bailey also came from Pune and joined us. On Monday the 18th, we left Ajmer at 11:30 p.m. for Bombay, reaching Dadar on Wednesday morning at 7 o'clock. Although Baba is slightly better, yet the main complaint of diarrhea has not in the least subsided. Excerpts of Doctor's Diary, September. Okay. Want me to go on?
Yeah, go on until you have to leave.
All right. It's getting close. I'll just read the next two paragraphs here.
Okie dokie.
September 27th, 1922, a true prediction. Since Baba came from Ajmer on the 20th, the diarrhea continued to harass him more or less till yesterday evening. Throughout last week, Doctor continuously kept himself by Baba's bedside till late hours in the night, and once or twice he remained with Baba throughout the whole of the night by way of company. In spite of so serious a nature of the ailment, Baba never took any regular medical treatment, but just carried on with some apparent quack doses or drinks occasionally throughout the illness. But strangely enough, just according to his prediction, he became quite all right today, exactly 15 days after the day he reached Ajmer. And so it was after such a long time that he gave the Mandali a song in his melodious voice to the accompaniment of the drum and sitar today. The latter was played by Adi. Baba also sat for a snapshot, which proved very successful.
Thanks.
Okay, I'll end here. Thank you. Jai
Yeah.
Baba, everyone.
I'd like to just interject that the quack dose of medicine, quack was an old British term, might even be current for a medical man. Is that not right, Mayor?
Well, I think quack is always negative word, right? Like
Yeah, but I've heard it used as the quack told me to cut out alcohol. That it's a bit pejorative, but they use it. Yeah, thanks. So Mayor, why don't you continue reading since you're unmuted?
yeah. September 28th, 1922, Dreaming the Undreamt. Novel 29, that's the appendix, I guess. Saw a very suggestive dream overnight. He saw 5 triangles of light suspended in space without any support, but they were regularly suspended at that, 4 of them forming a square, while with the 5th exactly in the center. Now he saw Maharaj and Meher Baba come there, and as soon as both of them are seen by Naval, the former disappears. Baba takes his position in the central triangle, and no sooner does he do that than there is a crash, and with a lightning splendor the scene disappears. But Naval continues dreaming, and again he sees a triangle of light, but this time only a solitary one with Gustaji in it. Gustaji is seen in the triangle with his legs dangling out. Baba, who happens to be nearby, lifts Gustaji's feet and puts them in the triangle in the right position, and the dream ends. Wake up. In the afternoon, the following is written by Baba on the notice board. To come in force from the 1st October till God knows when, to sleep at 9 o'clock in the night and get up at 4 in the morning. From 4 to 5 a.m., finish up the call of nature, bath, etc. From 5 to 6 a.m., engage oneself in devotion to God in the manner to be explained by me one day previous. 28, 9, 22 is equal to 59 is equal to 14. Syed Mirwan. Oh, signed Mirwan. Oh, well, those numbers. Okay. The above was followed by this couplet. Arise early, O heart, and serve the master of the tavern. Offer prayers to the cup bearer in remembrance of God and cup of divine wine. Ramjoo's Diary, Manzil, September 29, 1922. Some exercise. For the first time today, the element of physical labor is introduced into the term of a simple mental imprisonment in the manzil. Imprisonment because, despite all the physical comforts, the network of orders and instructions leave hardly a free breathing space in this commodious bungalow. And now, under the excuse of preparing the back compound to be suitable as a playground, Baba has asked a member to repair it to produce a clean, smooth space from the rough and stone-studded surface that it is. Accordingly, the whole day is passed strenuously digging it out a foot deep all around the compound to eliminate the stones, glass pieces under the rubbish before beginning to add fresh material. September 30th, 1922, the sleeping Sam. Today, all were roused at so early an hour as that of 3 o'clock in the morning by Baba. Maharaj Arti is recited, and then all are asked to attend the compound mending, swearing and muttering, not loudly, of course. We take to the blessed work of mud spreading, hammering and watering the grounds, which is continued throughout the day. Doctor, who happens to be the sleeping Sam of the Mandali, finds the task all the more tiring, but he hatches out a brilliant plan to escape the ordeal. Just as Baba is seen standing in the veranda in the afternoon, surveying our work, Doctor starts chanting a well-known love poem in Urdu, in an accompaniment to his hammering of the ground with a wooden hammer. At first, the Mandal trying to be so active, but when the worthy began to repeat continuously this couplet, do not
Oh,
molest for
you missed a line.
Uh, at first, the Mandali were amazed to find Doctor trying to be so active, but when the worthy began to repeat continuously this couplet, is that now
Oh
correct?
yeah, yeah. Or maybe my brain
Yeah.
missed it. It sounded like
Yeah.
he did say it. Sorry, go ahead.
Do not molest Farhad with the task of digging the mountain. Oh, Shireen, he is your lover and not your laborer. The meaning dawned upon us, and all laughed out, including Baba himself. Then, calling doctor near him, Baba asked the Mandali to have a good look at the features and face of his lover. But eventually, doctor was exempted from labor for the day. More coincidences.
I'm sorry, who's doctor?
Gani,
Who?
Dr.
Bunny.
Gani
Uh-huh.
Munsif.
Okay.
So he's always known to find some trick, and he's like witty and his Baba's childhood friend.
Yeah, I know. They have such a rapport together, and he would make Baba laugh and humor. Yeah, it's so nice.
And he had a kind of comical face too, right? He was
Yeah.
not a handsome man. He
Yeah.
was,
Oh, he was a handsome man. What a standard
You
do
think
you
so?
follow?
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Lots of wisdom. For me, he looked like an ancient soul, which he was, I think. But the features of his face, anyway, we shouldn't talk about it. He was ancient for sure.
But he was known big head because he had a size of a very
Yeah, you see, yeah, he was. Yeah, he had a big head.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, continuing. More coincidences. Munshi was given a letter written by doctor on behalf of Baba addressed to Professor S. Abdul Khader of Elphinstone College. The letter was delivered to the professor today when he was sitting with his friends, Messrs. Bikirali and Hassan Ali. As soon as he had gone through the letter, the professor is reported to have exclaimed, Lo, here we were settling amongst ourselves to go to Dadar to see Meher Baba at 5 p.m. today. And the very day this letter comes to us asking not to come until we are called for. October 1st, 1922, spiritual instruction. The program put up on the notice board on the 20th September did not exactly come in force from today, as mentioned therein. And instead of getting up at 4 a.m., we left our beddings at 6:30 a.m. as usual. At breakfast, Baba asked doctor to see that all were informed to be present in the upper hall to receive instructions, as the program is to come in force from tomorrow, the 2nd, instead of today. The back compound repairs are continuing. A big roller has been brought on load and is being rolled on the ground after watering the same, and the nooks and corners are hammered with wooden hammers. The work is continued throughout the day. Doctor is again left off from the daily toil on account of his poetic protest yesterday, and instead goes through the proofs of Maharaj's biography. In the evening at 6 p.m. sharp, we all assembled in the upper hall to hear Baba's instructions in connection with the notice put up on the board on the 20th, and again repeated today in 4 languages: Urdu, English, Marathi, and Gujarati. Baba then delivered a lengthy explanation. The following is a gist of what he said. The main object of my asking you to follow the new program is to keep you awake in the early hours of the morning, especially between 4 and 5 a.m. It is the most valuable and important time from the spiritual point of view. The important prayers in every religion and the practices of advanced yogis are indulged in these hours. In fact, from the yogic point of view, it is imperative to be awake in the early hours of the morning. Although I am not going to ask you to follow any yoga or any particular religious ritual, as it is quite apart from both, I want you simply be awake, simply to keep awake in these hours. I have already told you that besides the viewpoint of religion, study, meditation, and yoga, the early hours are important from the higher spiritual point too. It was between these hours that Baba Jan gave me the experience, and also it was the same time when Maharaj brought me out of the ocean. The circle too will get realization in these hours. But now the question here arises as to how to pass the time after getting up. Certainly not in lolling about or playing at cards and draughts. It does not become us to do such things being in the line that is on the spiritual path as we are in the early hours of the morning. Then the best method of passing the hours will be this. From 4 to 5 a.m., all should attend the daily necessities and take cold bath. Then between 5 to 6 a.m., all should engage themselves in repeating prayers according to their respective religions for some time, such as namaz, Muslims, kasti, Parsis, puja, Hindus, etc., and pass the major portion of the time repeating the name of the Almighty. This too, according to the respective faiths, which are Allah, Isdan, Ram, etc. But it is to be done mentally and while sitting in one fixed position. Although the repetition is to be carried out in the mind without moving the tongue or lips, the eyes should never be closed. This belongs to the line of study of yoga. With a spiritual aspirant, there is no closing of the eyes, nose, or mouth, and neither the external following of religious rituals in details. Once sitting in the position, one should stick it to it throughout the period till the bell rings for breakfast at 6 a.m. without changing the place or position, and keep on repeating in the mind the divine name with a free heart without thinking of time, etc.
Thanks, Mayor. Ernie, could you unmute and continue, please?
Here, all were asked to inform him as to the name and position suitable to each of us respectively. The Muslim party naturally chose Ya Allah, the Zoroastrians Yazdan, and the Hindus Ram. Almost all selected varying positions to sit as per individual point of comfort and ease. After hearing the respective decisions, Baba said all are to stick to their selected names and positions for 10 months without change, and finally added, "This is my first spiritual instruction of its kind, and therein fail not." With this, the meeting dispersed. Although Baba has told us all that this sitting and repeating is nothing but devotion, yet most of us are expecting to feel or see something unusual by way of spiritual experiences, because Baba had once said before that the Mandali will get experiences in September. Hence, experiences is the burning question of the day. The early awakening matter reminds me of a Gujarati couplet which aptly describes the auspiciousness of the time. It runs, "Everyone keeps awake the first 3 hours of a night. The next 3 hours keep awake and indulgent in sex. The next 3 hours keep awake a burglar. And the fourth 3 hours keeps awake one occupied in spiritual practice." October 2nd, 1922. Early to bed and early to rise. As per the new orders, all got up, or were rather made to get up, at 4 a.m. With half closed eyes, most of us were found fumbling near the closets and bathrooms. The cold baths, however, dispelled the weight over the eyelids to some extent, and the devotions began. Exactly at 6, the bell rang, and one after another, we all trooped in the hall for the inviting cup of tea, bread, and butter. Thereafter, the compound mending was resumed, which chiefly consisted of rolling the big roller over the grounds and watering the same. Throughout the day, Baba was seen to be cheerful, but about bedtime, he called Doctor upstairs, and according to him, Baba complained of having burning fever, and on feeling the pulse, I found a little fever, but not as much that could warrant for the extreme heat felt on the face and chest of Baba by me. Baba's third illness. Continuing, Doctor said, Baba told me that it was another sickness quite distinct from the last one, and also complained of great pains in the extremities, especially the knees and feet. Thereupon, Doctor added, he began chafing Baba's legs when he saw that he was extremely uneasy and in a dazed condition, muttering incoherent words all the time. At first, in spite of the open windows, Baba complained of great heat, but soon he felt chill. And after Doctor had covered him up completely, he was asked to retire for the night. October 3rd, 1922. Baba cries. In the morning, we found the following notice on board. The whole night, fever was my strict companion. Now tell me, sleepless nights, weakness owing to the last illness, and fever, all three combined, how can I hope of avoiding the fatal sickness that has begun its attack? 3/10/22, signed Mirwan. This means that the attack of fever early last night developed greatly with Baba during the night when we all were snugly tucked under mosquito nets, and that he really passed a very painful night. At breakfast time, Baba told us that he actually cried again in the night, and for verification, I guess maybe verification, he referred us to Gastaji, who had actually seen Baba shedding tears. Continuing, Baba asked that the nights that he was passing through, may they not fall even to the lot of an enemy. 28 deaths. Again, referring to this subject of his present illness, in the afternoon, in the presence of Sadashiv Patel, Baba said it was the third time that he actually cried and fell ill during the last 8 years. The two past illnesses referred to are the shoulder wound and the subsequent diarrhea while at Ajmer. Likewise, he said in all, he would die 28 deaths for the circle in this way, that he would cry in each of his illnesses. But the subsequent illnesses will be lesser and lesser in severity. This fever is for Patel, who always suffers from it. From this, it can be safely concluded that the last two ordeals were for Kastaji and Baramji, respectively. Continuing in the same strain, Baba said that the next batch for whom he will have to fall sick includes Doctor. His doctor's number is perhaps the 5th or 6th, but after a little consideration, Baba said Doctor's number is the 7th in the circle, and hence very important, especially in this respect, that this number always remains with the master, even after realization. The next 3 or 4 illnesses will be a bit troublesome, but after that they will lessen down in severity to a great degree. After some time, the topic of blessings and curses came to be discussed. Baba gave a long explanation on the subject, which is, in short, means a perfect master neither curses nor blesses. He works. Saints and advanced souls can be said to bless, and hence simply their words bring about the desired results. Then explaining the difference between worldly joys and divine bliss, Baba said that an ocean of worldly joy is merely but the shadow, not even the drop of a single small drop from the vast and infinite ocean of divine bliss. And it is for this reason that the perfect master is also addressed as Tananda, divine truth, knowledge, bliss. In the evening, Baba again became very restless, and when I was near him in the night upstairs, I heard Baba muttering, "They are beating and torturing me." This reminds me of Baba's occasional sayings that he is likely to suffer at the hands of yogis and aspirants who are sufficiently advanced in the line. October 4th, 1922, the perfect master. Maharaja's and Sai Baba's photos were given by Baba to Doctor to be dispatched to Patel, who has gone to Sakori since yesterday evening. In the afternoon, the question of Adi's attendance at his college was discussed at length and settled according to Baba's own plan and wish. After tea, Baba had a game of draughts with me, and although he played offhand style, I was swept off the board. Here a discussion took place as the best draught player in the Manzil. The issue, however, remained undecided between Jal, Vajradar, and myself. And quite another topic came out of the discussions when Baba said if he were to put his mind into the game, he would beat anyone at it. However, an expert a champion player he might beat. Here, Doctor asked Baba as to what he meant by putting the mind in. Explaining the point, Baba said, one who is a slave to his mind belongs to the ordinary run of human beings, and one who conquers his mind, but at the same time is overpowered by it, is called a Ramjoo, one who has advanced towards truth belongs to the spiritual planes. The first is a worldly state of mind, and the second is a godly state of mind. That is, a state of mind with divinity manifested in it. But the perfect master, however, takes up his stand quite apart from all these three states, as in and is in such a position that he can enjoy and experience all the states of the mind whenever he likes to do so.
Thanks, Ernie. Mahu, please.
Okay. Should I read from an example or perfect master?
I guess an example, yes.
Okay. So can you roll up a little bit, please? Just I want to relate it.
Like this or
It's
the
all
other
right.
way.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I have it. Okay, so an example. There is three attributes. So the eternal existence, knowledge, and bliss unconscious. The spiritual world, real dream, and the vacant dream, the earth and the universe, all are merged into perfect master, who is a conscious knowledge, conscious bliss, and conscious existence. So perfect master has always three. This is pretty interesting. By the way, at that time, Baba would refer to himself as a perfect master because he wasn't declared himself as an avatar yet. So he means him.
And was he still called Merwan?
Yeah,
In
Nirvan.
1922? Uh-huh.
Yeah, sure.
When did he start being called Mayor Baba?
No,
Does
he
anybody
was
know?
definitely being called Meher Baba by this time.
I
Oh,
don't
thanks.
remember one of his, I have to look it up, I mix up one of his lovers or followers suggested this name and Baba accepted it. It came from somebody else.
Yeah, Syed Sahib, I think. And I believe
Oh,
it was
Syed Sahib.
a year earlier than this, about.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you. A perfect master is rarely required to put his mind in things worldly, though sometimes he has to do so for the sake of his circle. As an example, the residents of Kamatipura Lane, number 7, are His Majesty King George's subjects. But does His Majesty know anything about Kamatipura, which is actually Kamatipura is the Bombay slum area? Whether such a place exists at all in his dominions, far short of the individual residents of the locality. Okay, I'm going to read this part again without explanation. But does His Majesty know anything about Kamatipura, whether such a place exists at all in his dominions, far short of the individual residents of the locality? If, however, he wishes to know anything about Kamatipura, or even one particular resident of the place, he can be furnished with the necessary information in no time through the various departments and services of his government, the wireless, the post office, the CID, etc. Similarly, a perfect master can reach to the very source of anything and everything that he cares to know. That is, puts his mind into it. But generally, he does not do so. The interest he seems to take in the things that belong to this world by word or deed is simply offhanded. However serious it may look outwardly. The mind that he seems to engage on such occasions is the mind devoid of divinity. He simply does things at capital as they occur to him at the time, almost mechanically, without thinking about it. Go on. The batch compound, which is now quite ready, with a billiard table-like surface, provides a good site for Baba to take some rounds on Asma's cycle, which the latter brings at about 4 p.m. direct from the shop where he purchased it today. Asma is the nickname given by Baba to Kegobad, K-Irani, because of his chronic sufferings from asthma, which troubled him very much in the past, in spite of his great precautions and treatments. But even he is nicknamed Asma and called as such by all of the Mandari under Baba's orders. He is quite free of the attacks in spite of taking cold baths in the very early hours of the morning, as per our latest program. As soon as Baba had finished cycling round the compound, Mr. Jehangir Moose's arrival was announced, and we all were asked to leave Baba alone with Moose and go play 7 tiles on the newly prepared playground. The following notice was put up on the board in the evening. That's a notice. None should use Asma's cycle except Asma himself. Remind me tomorrow evening at 7 to tell you the wonder of Jahangir's Moses case. Okay. Now in 4/10/22 means April 10th, 1922, Merwan. Sanskaras. Well, he calls himself Merwan at that time. Sanskaras. After supper, Baba discoursed at length on the question of yoga study and liberation. The important points remembered are repeated here under. Okay, quote. A yogi, even if he attains the highest yogic state in his study, does not reach freedom, because there is still for him the sanskaras, meaning impressions, to finish up with. Sanskaras means the impressions left behind while doing any good or bad action. Even a thought creates a sanskara. Talking, hearing, thinking, seeing, eating, sleeping, etc. In fact, even sudden movements cause sanskaras or impressions, which have to be experienced without a single hitch, with a mechanical precision, unless removed away root and branch by a master's grace or blessing. Our present existence and all the related experiences of pain and pleasure, virtue and sin about it, are the results of our past sanskaras or a'mal, as termed by the Muslims. Do not complain. Quote, the very breath we breathe, the eyelid we twitch, the finger we lift, all are due to past impressions. Our present existence is the mere unfoldment of our past subtle impressions in gross world. I did this part again. Our present existence is the mere unfoldment of our past subtle impressions in gross form. And again, it is our present gross actions that recreate impressions, and so on. A good word or good action has its good result compressed in an impression, suppose in the form of a circle, and a bad word or action likewise stores up a bad result in a similar subtle form. Oh, I always thought it was mental. Okay. That is, good actions in this life necessitate acquiring a happier state in the next formation. And similarly, a bad action in the present life brings about a bad result in the same way. There is that time which has not been dispensed away with in any text. There's that tie which has not been dispensed away within any text. Now another quote. Good actions bind a man with a golden chain, and bad actions with iron and spiked chains. But the chain is there in either case. The man has not been set free. Yoga or other studies are good actions, and they give the person a better chance in the next incarnation, but it does not set him free or give liberation.
Thank you, Mahu. I'll take a turn.
Sure.
Therefore, to have liberation, one must neither have virtue nor vice on one's credit or debit side, but it should be a clean slate to reach the state described in an Urdu couplet. We shall not go either in heaven or hell, but on the day of final judgment, we shall stand gazing at the face of Muhammad. And this is impossible to reach without the grace of the Guru. For a master, it is the work of a moment, though. The vast and almost infinite impressions of a person may be likened to a heap of dry grass, which it is impossible for the person to clean out. Even the process of cleaning out without a master, that is, through yoga, etc., means contracting impressions again in different forms. But this heap of dry grass is a work of a moment for a lighted match, but which alone the perfect master possesses. The perfect master uses his matches, but mostly for the members of his circle only, and thus, at the right moment, brings them to his own level in less than a second. But even those who have no direct connection with the perfect master can derive the greatest possible benefit merely through the contact and company of his personality. One moment, half a moment, and even half of a moment in contact with a perfect master, then 10 million of your sins are washed off. October 5, 1922, a spirit. As soon as we had finished our morning bath and we were going to sit for repeating the Almighty's name, Baba told us that again he could not sleep overnight. The reason being, he explained, the noise of hammering the background by someone in the dead of night. It is, he said, a spirit that always accompanies him nowadays, wherever and whenever he goes. It is the same spirit that Bailey had seen while he was with him at the hut in Pune. Maharaj has entrusted this spirit to Baba, which it is said will also be seen by some of the Mandali, even in this bungalow. In that case, none should be afraid about it when seen, while absolutely no fear should be entertained in moving about the bungalow and compound in any time of the day or night. And Baba concluded that thus none should hesitate to move about the bungalow in the night because of this. So we'll begin again next week at that same spot.
And